of race and racism. It's going to be about 30-35 minutes, and then Nashawn is going to say a few words about her program, Journey. She can spend about 25 minutes, and then we'll have some update about, from a CMRC standpoint, some of the projects we've been working on, including some of the health grant that we're looking at. Okay, so I'll just let, for those of you that do not know a bit about CMRC, really the fact is CMRC is the notion about empowering the minority voices, the whole idea about changing the power dynamics by amplifying our voice, the BIPOC voices, and also the whole idea about influencing the design of co-designing processes, and also make sure that so our voices get combined and become more powerful. That is really the whole idea about CMRC. Okay, so I'll just stop sharing for now, and then I'll let Olmsted County share screen then, right?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
I'm just gonna set up here.
We can see you. I can see you. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, so just a huge thank you to all for having us today. So my name is Caitlin Barrientos. I'm a grant specialist from Olmsted County, and I'm here with 3 other folks from our work group from Olmsted County, which as we kind of move through the presentation, I'll let them talk about their name and give you their name and talk about their role and their tie into the work as well. So today we're here to talk about the One Olmsted Community Council, which is a project that our work group has been working on for about the last, I think, about 1.5 years. And we're finally making some great headway. So we thought this would be a perfect time to kind of talk, share with you all kind of how that's going and what we anticipate it to look like. So first, I just really want to acknowledge the support that has gone into this project thus far and really helped us be successful. So first, we've had a lot of sponsors from inside of Olmsted County from the Olmsted County Administration Department, our One Olmsted Committee. We have folks from the Policy Analysis and Communication team, as well as a couple of teams from Public Health as well. And funding that we've been able to put into this work thus far, we've gotten from our Statewide Health Improvement Partnership, which folks will know as SHIP, which you'll learn about in a few minutes here, through funding provided by the Minnesota Department of Health through a grant, funds from One Olmsted, and then we also were awarded a grant from the Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation. So really this presentation today, we want to just kind of talk about not just the community council, but kind of the work behind it as well. So this project has been something that has had 3 components to it. So we have with the SHIP team, they have a component from their grant called the Community Leadership Team. It's a requirement through that. Plus we have components through the joint study, which we'll talk more about, as well as we'll talk about the community council and what that's going to look like. And then at the end of this presentation, we'll really kind of talk about how they've come to be married with one another and what that will look like. So first, I'd like to pass it off to Muse Abdi, and he can introduce himself and then share with you about SHIP.
Thank you, Caitlin. Good evening, CMRC members and guests. Again, thank you very much for giving us this opportunity. My name is Muse Abdi, and I'm with Olmsted County Public Health. And I think this is my 2nd time joining your monthly meeting presenting SHIP. I believe you are aware of what SHIP is, so I will not get into more detail about SHIP. Instead, I will just focus on why SHIP is involved in the creation of an Olmsted Community Council. So if you need more about information about SHIP, questions related to SHIP application, please reach out to us. We are open to any project ideas if you have any. Okay, just okay. This slide summarizes some of the SHIP priorities in collaboration with a community council. You may be just kind of wondering why SHIP is involved in the creation of the community council. SHIP has a external health equity goal, which aims to build a community leadership team with the members from the communities mostly impacted by health inequities. Therefore, the intention is that the community council will serve as a SHIP community leadership team, overseeing all the SHIP projects, ensuring that they are equitable and meet the needs of our communities through the lens of health equity, which is very, very important. For example, the community council will work to ensure that a strong connection between SHIP and the communities most impacted by health inequities. This will enable these communities to participate in co-designing public health services, identify challenges, and suggest improvements. By doing so, we can make sure that our public health services are more equitable to reducing health disparities, which is our number one primary goal. Next slide, please. Okay, as you might know, SHIP is comprehensive health strategy that is coordinated throughout the 87 counties and 10 tribal nations in Minnesota. It is a community-driven project that intentionally invests community partnership to promote equitable, healthy, and positive conditions for all Minnesotans. Next slide, please. One of the primary goals of SHIP is to achieve health equity. To do so, SHIP focuses on advancing health equity through policy, systems, and environmental change to empower communities, which is, I think, is also your one of your mission. Just to remind you the difference between equality and equity, you are the experts, but I'm going to just kind of remind you. Equality means providing the same sources or support to everyone, regardless of whether they need or not. However, this approach will not improve everyone's health because we have different needs. Equity, on the other hand, means ensuring that everyone receives the resources and the support they need, taking into account the individual's barrier, circumstances, and conditions. Next slide, please. Okay, SHIP has 4 contiguous areas. Again, I will not get into details. Minnesota moves, which improves the access and the opportunity for physical activity, focusing on active transportation. Minnesota Eats, which helps our communities have access to healthy food by improving connection to healthy and culturally appropriate local foods. Minnesota Previs, which creates commercial tobacco-free communities by preventing initiation and practice among youth and eliminating secondhand smoke disparity. Secondhand smoke disparity is a huge problem that we have. Minnesota Wellbeing, which encourages projects to incorporate ways to create connectiveness, build resilience, use trauma-informed principles, and improve mental health. Again, if you have any question related to SHIP application or you have any project idea, please reach out to me. I will put my, we don't have a chat, but I will share my email. So now I want to just hand it over to John to give us some overview of Journie study and the relationship between Journie study and the Community Council. John.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is John Edmonds. A number of you know me, but for those of you who don't, I've worked for Olmsted County for 25 years, and then I have retired, but I'm semi-retired. I'm actually working in the role of the DEI coordinator for Olmsted County now, and one of my primary assignments is in the development of the community council. The community council, as Muse and Caitlin actually mentioned in the beginning is really a combination of three forces coming together, and that was the joint study that rose from the board's resolution to look at race and racism as a public health issue, and then to come up with recommendations. And then, as Muse described, the SHIP efforts in creating health equity, and then the community council, which is really, if we look at this slide, I'm going to start from the right and work left. So it's the council is to look at DEI goals, or well, to apply the lens of diversity, equity, and inclusion in all aspects of the county's operations. So it's part of that is going to involve looking at DEI goals and metrics, and from that perspective, and also getting that feedback from the community. Are these things indeed getting to where we want to get to in terms of equity and inclusion? Also to look to asking the community council to identify opportunities for DEI-related improvements, providing the county departments with DEI-related feedback, and then lastly, but mostly importantly, is the council will take those recommendations that came out of the joint study, and become the, how do I want to put this? Become the vehicle, the mechanism for achieving accountability in terms of implementing those joint study recommendations. Next slide. So this is just the background. I mean, I mentioned the board resolution, which commissioned essentially the Human Rights Commission, Public Health Advisory Board, and the county board to study racism as a public health issue. This also all happened during the time of COVID, so that created some challenges for making this a reality. It also, though, highlighted health disparities that came out as a result of COVID and some of the things that we discovered or that were discovered as a result of the pandemic. And then it clearly identified the need to address systemic and structural racism. Good, next slide. So this is just to give you a kind of visual on where we are at this point and where the community council will fit into this arrangement. So the county board did, through its resolution and its work, commissioned the joint study. The executive management team, including the county administrator, will be providing oversight of the operations to ensure that those recommendations are achieved. And then we have supporting this is these efforts is the PAC management analyst giving us the data and some of the monitoring information that we'll need. And we'll have an accountability advisory board. And this will be, as we'll see in the next slide, will actually be the community council that we're proposing. And this group is established through One Olmsted. The function will be to serve as the accountability board, which I've mentioned. It'll monitor progress, it'll provide feedback, it'll report on progress to the county board and the community, and it'll review metrics and targets for relevancy to ensure community centricity. Essentially, the community council, well, we're going to get into, I'll turn it over to Shakita in a moment, that we'll get into describing what the council will, in more detail about the council. But essentially the council is a way of incorporating the community's voice in the operations of the county's services, government and services. Okay, I'm turning it over now to Shakita.
Okay, thank you, John. Hi, I'm Shakita Phillips, and I'm with Olmsted County Public Health. And part of one Olmsted and DEI and Equity Action Team. So I'll give more information as far as it goes with our community council. So with the community council, what the priorities are building relationships of trust with the community as a whole, identify inequities in current systems and policies, work alongside the county to complete special DEI projects, and provide transparency through community outreach. Next slide. Okay, so what the community council is, council consisting of diverse representatives of various cohorts who are consumers of county services, we're anticipating council size of about 20 to 25 members, and it is of diversity, equity, and inclusion focused. We will hold recurring meetings with only council members, provide transparency through outreach efforts to the community, and through partnering with the county, provide a lens to critically examine the services of Olmsted County through a DEI lens and framework. Next slide. Okay, so through the council, what we're striving to accomplish here is to trying to eliminate any disparities and create equitable outcomes for all throughout through commitment to diversity and inclusion and development of strong community partnerships. Reimagine community engagement through the creation of community-led council focused on diversity, equity, and inclusion. Provide the platform for those from marginalized groups or those who have historically gone unheard to eliminate the root cause of disparities and inequities that exist in our current system. We want to inform and allow the community to inform in ways to promote healing and create change in a way that builds equitable opportunities for all. And we want to work to collaborate with county staff commissioners and leaderships to study and provide guidance, system changes to allow the county to be more responsive to community needs related to DEI.
I'll pick up here. So how we've approached this, so we had this goal of creating this entity, the community council. So then the next step was, all right, how do we go about doing that? And so how we are approaching this is we've created a design team, what we're calling a community council design team. And we've been meeting since January. We meet every other week. So you can just, as you can tell then from that we've had quite a number of meetings. The role of the makeup of the design team is we've got 8 community members from diverse backgrounds, and we've got 6 county staff, and we're working to develop the framework, basically the architecture for ultimately what the community council will look like. And it's really building it from scratch, determining, not only what it looks like, what it has to have, what will be involved, how it will recruit membership, how it will function. We're really sort of creating the architecture for this community council. The design team is going to be a short-term group. It's going to sunset at some point. It's like when it's done with that creative work, its role will be ended, and we'll move into the implementation phase of the community council. Now, some members of so it doesn't preclude people who are on the design team from applying to be part of the community council, but that's going to be a separate process. So some people may decide that they're interested and may apply. Others may feel like their role is done and they're done. The timeline is going to be determined by the design team, but at the rate that we're going, we're looking at probably completing this work sometime in the late fall or early winter. So sometime probably before the end of calendar year 2023. Next slide.
Thank you, John. As John, design team consists of 8 community members with a diverse background. So far, we made a good progress in creating the community council framework. Some of the examples of works that we have completed so far is that we researched what other jurisdictions have done, and we familiarized the data for our communities, such as, for example, the demographics and disparities and so on. We create a work plan. We defined the term community in the context of our diverse communities in Olmsted County geography. We are working on creating right now, the next steps, we are creating right now a reference guide, which will cover the council mission, the council out of scope activities, council decision-making process, council membership and alternatives, council roles and responsibilities, the meeting structure and reporting, and also we are creating a team culture or cultivating team culture. And we are also creating community engagement plans. These are the next steps, although some of them we already started working on. Now I want to hand it over to Shakira to tell us some of the lessons we learned so far and how the SHIP and Journie and the community council priorities are combined and how they are intermingled. Shakira.
Yeah, thank you. So lessons learned so far have definitely been patience, need for flexibility and expecting the unexpected, of course. Facilitating community members is different from normal facilitation, than we would do with our normal, I guess, meetings with our fellow employees, of course. So, that takes a different kind of guidance, and you learn how to roll with that. Allow the community time to digest and react to information provided. Accounting for different cultural backgrounds, and also lived experience. And a large number of community needs have been raised by the members, which has been very helpful as well. And next slide. Okay, so with the community council, combined from the joint study and with SHIP, this just branches out what we've been needing to do and what we're trying to accomplish. Once again, like with the building relationships and trust, working alongside the county, providing the transparency, and finding out what the inequities are for us. But that's everything all around with SHIP and the joint study and for community council.
Thanks, Shakira. So I also just kind of wanted to add with this infographic that you're seeing here. And so kind of notice that the community council is shown larger and at the top. So really the idea behind this is the community council is kind of the, I don't know if I would say umbrella, but it's the entity that it's kind of taking over or taking on those other priorities from the joint study and SHIP. So this is just really kind of showing what we had talked about earlier, is kind of how we're marrying together all these three different components. So that's really all that we have to share with you all today. I think, I guess I'm not sure exactly where we're at with time, so I'm not sure if we have any time for questions, but if we don't, I did want to leave the contact information for Muse Abdi and John Edmonds, who act as our community council liaisons. So I'll let you kind of have a moment to jot that down, but if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask those at this point.
Yeah, I think we have a few minutes for questions, maybe 5 minutes or so. Or
Awesome.
Anybody else have any questions? Otherwise, I have a couple maybe.
Sure.
Okay, so it sounds like that the council itself has not been formed yet. You formed the design council. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah, so the
Yeah.
design team is really the first phase of
Right.
this project. So
And
we want this to be an initiative that's completely community run, because we really kind of acknowledged that throughout our current systems that a lot of times a county or the government is telling community kind of how to run the stuff. So this is really, it's community focused, it's community run. And so that's why we felt like it was really important to get community members involved to create what they would like this to look like to best meet the needs of our community.
so the essential deliverable sounds like is a design that kind of dictates or design the council that would be more permanent. Is that the basic the goal here? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's exactly what the design team is about. It's I said, it's creating the architecture for that community council. It's also, I think, one of the points in one of the slides that talked about reimagining community engagement. I mean, this is really what this is looking to do. I mean, there have been attempts in the past to get community's voice involved in different advisory committees and that sort of thing. But I don't think that but this is going to be different. I mean, this is just we're approaching this in a very different way, in the sense that this is not just going to be a couple of representatives from different parts of the community sitting in, with folks either who represent the county or have other vested interests and are just sort of passively listening to what's being presented, but rather this group is going to have a much more proactive involvement in the operations that happen within the county. So so they will be able to not only respond to things that and operations that the county has, but also to make recommendations to the county around things that they perceive that they've perceived in the community. And it's also going to be I mean, the other difference is that this is going to be a standing group that is intentionally set up to represent as many cohorts as we possibly can in that number of 20 to 25 of people who are consumers of county services. So that's going to be something that's different too. George?
I just want to say or offer a supportive nod to this group. I'm impressed with the way you've structured it. I'm also impressed with the people that you have in it. I know I've known John for 25 years at least, and I know the work that he does. And I understand that we've got some new folks that are doing some really good things. And I just applaud the work that you're doing and keep the community involved. That's all. Just a thank you.
Thanks, George. One of the other things I want to mention too, and because we didn't mention it in the slides, is that, and this is going to be the model that we carry forward with the council itself, is that we pay the community members stipends. So some of the funding that we're getting from these different, from from Smith and from SHIP and MDH, we're using those funds to pay stipends to the participants, community participants. We're also very much committed to eliminating any barriers to participation beyond just the stipends. So we also provide childcare when that's appropriate or needed. We also provide food for folks to come to these meetings. So we're really, and we're seeing that we're committed to seeing this carried through when we actually implement the council as well. We want to make sure that there are no barriers, or we eliminate as many barriers as we possibly can to folks being able to participate on this council.
John, it's Charlie. Just a quick question.
Yep.
This might be getting into the weeds, but you have an example of a specific disparity that you believe exists in the community, and how will you address it to achieve the equitable outcome that you had on the previous slide? Any comment around that?
Well, we have, well, I mean, there are a host of inequities that we can point to. I mean, my familiarity it's just because of the work that I've done is been in child and family services. So we know, for example, that there's an underrepresentation of folks of color in adult services and in disability services. That's something that, I mean, so the data tells us that, we know that. So the question, the challenge is, then how do you mitigate that? And if we get people, because we're intending to have folks from that cohort on the council, I mean, I think they can give some advice and to the programs as well, as to who to reach out to. How do you break through some of those barriers, if there are barriers? What are some of the reasons why there may be a reluctance for certain people to reach out for services? I mean, so it's that kind of thing that I think the representatives of the council will be in a good position to be able to speak to. So that's just one example. I mean, I think, we can get into, there's inequities around, in children's services, around, or in health services, access to healthcare or to immunizations. I mean, so those are the kinds of things that I think the community should have a voice in making suggestions around. Well, how do you overcome that? I mean, it's one thing to have the information, the data. It's another thing to then come up with what are the possible solutions.
I appreciate that. Thank you, John. My work with recovery is happening, and next chapter with incarceration, and even on the United Way, a lot of these things are running through my brain. So I appreciate that as we try to build a better community going forward. Thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, I got a quick comment too, is that where the CMRC is looking at a particular National Institute Health grant opportunity, and I'm going to do some presentation a little later in the meeting if you wanted to stay, if you're able to stay. Is the notion is about NIH is wanted to do some research on building trust for the BIPOC community from a health assessing healthcare standpoint. So that we're looking at this particular grant. Seems like if we can somehow maybe talk to you folks a little bit later, that we may be able to collaborate and build up. We already have a kind of a coalition before from prior work that we've done in project healings and other things. So we are actually in a position to really study more about this building trust NIH grant. Sounds like it'd be a very huge grant that we can explore that. It seems like it might tie into one of your objectives that you've indicated in your slides there. So I don't think we need to go too deep here, but I just wanted to raise the potential that to work together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I think those are, you know, there are a lot. I mean, besides CMRC, I mean, there's Human Rights Commission. I mean, there are a number of groups out there who are doing some work, and I think, you know, part of the design, the work of the design team will be looking at how do we get information and input from those other groups that are out there in the community. I mean, at this point, I mean, I can't say yes, we're going to do this, or no, we're going to do that. We're too early in the process, but I welcome those, you know, input from those different groups, from this group and from other groups out there in the community.
Okay, thank you. So we're in the interest of time, we'll move on to the next topic. And then again, you're welcome to stay. Thank you very much for your presentation. I think we look forward to further collaboration from a CMRC standpoint. I think within our group, we also have a lot of constituents that may fit into some of the skill set that competency, the representation may be looking for as well. You know. Okay, thank you very much. Again, you can stay if you like, you know, to hear. First, next up is Journie to talk about their program. So, Steph, Shauna, you want me to share screen or do you want to share screen? I have your.
If you wouldn't mind, Al, sharing the presentation for me, I'd greatly appreciate it. If you can navigate it as well.
Okay.
While Al is pulling that up, I'll go ahead and get started for the sake of time. My name is Nashana Johnson-Lenore, and I am the founding director of the Journie program. Journie is a life skills program for teenage youth ages 13 through 18, and we've been serving the Rochester community now for a total of 10 years. We've been in service. The Journie program was founded based on my own personal lived life experiences growing up in the inner city of Chicago in foster care. I spent my entire life in foster care from age 4 all the way until I emancipated out at the age of 21 years old through a youth in college program. And I have experienced mental abuse, physical abuse, homelessness, teen pregnancies, dropping out of high school. I've suffered with mental health. I've been to drug treatment for marijuana as a teenager, and kind of bounced from foster home to foster home and group homes and whatnot as a kid. And so thankfully, none of my experiences as a youth damaged my reputation or my background too much to where I couldn't become successful as an adult, but I came very close. And so I took my lived life experiences and decided that I wanted to teach other young people the lessons that I had learned on how to not make the same mistakes and decisions that I made that could ultimately affect their future selves.
Just to double check a little bit, can everyone see my screen? Sharing screen?
And
yes.
So
just to check, can you see screen?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. And so the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop, I designed this workshop based off my own personal lived experience. So I'll quickly give you a rundown of the workshop and what it means. So the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop is based on 3 different perspectives: home, school, work, and leisure. Leisure meaning like a sports team, any type of recreational sports or on the job, right? So the 3 perspectives is home, school, and then that work/leisure. So when we get into the workshops, the first one is getting to know me. So we run this workshop twice a week for 8 weeks, 2 hours per session. So the youth would receive a 40-hour life skills certificate. upon completion, as well as a graduation. So getting to know me, when we talk about getting to know me, that means we're teaching the young people, why is it important to get to know who you are when it comes to your home life, school, at work, and through leisure. And we're all adults here on this video call. We all know how hard life was growing up, having to figure out how to fit in over here or over there. I wasn't a part of the popular crew until high school, so I went through my phase of trying to figure out who I was. And so why is it important to know who you are when it comes to your home life? The youth might be struggling with identity crisis. They might not want to follow in their parents' footsteps. Getting to know me is about self-love, acknowledgement of self, and creating a foundational base to determine who and what you want to be in the future. Respect and responsibility, same thing. We teach youth the importance of respect and responsibility at home, at school, as well as on the job and through leisure. If you're on a sports team, why is it important not only to respect yourself, but as well as respect others in those different environments? And then we give them different resources and tools in order to be able to do so. Coping skills, same thing. Why is it important to have and learn coping skills at home? For me, I was in foster care, so I had to learn how to cope in different environments with different people on a regular basis because I moved from placement to placement on a, very often. So I had to learn how to cope in different environments with different people, with different backgrounds as far as religion, ethnicity, and so on. So I'm very diverse. I have a very diverse perspective. And so that's where that diverse perspective came from, being in those different environments. So all of these topics are all lived experiences that our personal lived experience that I've had that we're bringing to the table to teach the young people. So we teach them how to cope with different situations that they have no control over at home, such as something small as, why do I have to do the dishes? Why do I have to clean up my room? Why do I have to be in at a certain time? You know, why is my mom dating this guy that I don't like? You know, coping skills. What do you do when you have to cope with a situation that you have no control over? At school, an example of coping skills that we teach is you might not like your teacher. You might think your teacher is a racist, or you might not think your teacher is smart enough to be teaching you. You might think you're smarter than your teacher, right? So we teach you, how do you cope in a situation where you feel like you have no control because you are a young person? And so we give them the resources and tools to be able to get through those different scenarios based off those three different perspectives. Same with leisure and work experience, some of those coping skills in order to deal with different customers and employment environments and things like that. And then our relations and relationships workshop. Relations is like a kind word for sex. The Relations and Relationships workshop is our only workshop that's sort of a two-part workshop. And so relations means sex. And so we teach young people the importance of protecting yourself. We talk about teen pregnancies, STDs, HIV. The relations workshop is where we teach the young people how to identify the difference between a healthy relationship versus an unhealthy relationship. And so remember those three different perspectives we're working from. So when we're talking about relations and relationships, we're talking about what does identifying healthy and unhealthy relationships mean, and what does that look like at home. And when we talk about this topic, we almost always, as mandated reporters, have to make a call to Olmsted County social services because it's considered a safe space. And so a lot of times young people come out to myself or either staff to report incidences that are inappropriate that they have experienced within the home or different environments. Each one of our workshop, I'd like to add before I move on that myself as well as a program coordinator, we're the ones who teach the workshop based off our lived personal experience, but we also have someone who is a sponsor for that particular workshop from a professional background that accompany us to teach the youth in these workshops. For example, coping skills, we always work with MHP if we're working with the school district, or either like we did a summer camp and we had someone from Zumbro Valley Mental Health come in and talk about coping skills. And then relations and relationships, we have a 3-year partnership relationship with Planned Parenthood of Rochester. They usually send a staff person out to communicate with the youth about the relations and relationship workshop and give material and information about their program. The importance of education, we partner with Winona State University as well as RCTC. Our money management workshop, we partner with our longtime sponsor, Affinity Plus Bank. And for our law and legal rights, we have partnered in the past with Rochester Police Department. And so I'm just going to go backwards a little bit to the importance of education. I picked the importance of education because myself, I dropped out of high school. I had my first daughter at age 15, and I was an honor student. I got all A's. I played multiple sports, and after having my daughter, I dropped out and had to get a job and those sorts of things. So I thought it was important to teach youth why education is so important, and not just to say, hey, you need to go to school because you need to go to college to get a good job, but the knowledgeable piece behind it, like history and science and the future of our economy, right? And so the importance of education, we talk about why education is so important from a home perspective. You might be a first-year college graduate, a first-year the first person in your family to attend college, which makes a really big deal. And then why is the importance of education so important when it comes to school? Because if you are a sophomore in in high school, you've got to pay attention. You know, those placement tests and things like that when it's time to go to college are all important. And same with work and leisure. In order to get a good job, you know, you've got to have some form of educational background. And then on a sports team, you might be able to play basketball really well, but what if you have an injury? What are you going to do with the rest of your life, right? And so these are the things that we talk about in the importance of education. And then in money management, we talk about the value of a dollar, and why knowing the history of not just the value of a dollar, but the history of the dollar here in our country, and what is its importance, what is its value, and how does it relate to those 3 perspectives: at home, at school, and through leisure. And then law and legal rights. Really quick, I'll share a little bit about what we do in our workshop as far as activities. For example, our money management workshop, we use Monopoly money and print out fake checks, and the kids cash their checks with the bank representative from Affinity with their Monopoly money, and they go around the table and they make payments on their bills, and then we decide who's going to get repossessed, who's going to get evicted, those sorts of things, whose lights are going to get shut off. So we have different activities that we do in each one of the workshop that relates to the topic that we're referencing. For the law and legal rights workshop, like I said, we work with the Rochester Police Department. In that workshop, we talk about the 3 different perspectives: law and legal rights at home. Why is that important? To be able to follow the rules. Curfew, for one. That's really, really important. Domestic violence, right? Law and legal rights. Why is it important to know your rights as a citizen within this country? What are your rights? What's the difference between a misdemeanor and a felony? What would happen if you were charged and you needed a lawyer? What does that process look like? What does the expense look like? How can having any of these charges affect your life in the future? And then they get to see what it's like to be cuffed and be in the back of a police car, of course, with consent from parents, and how hot it is. And the most important part for me with the law and legal rights workshop is teaching the youth how to be responsive when approached by authority, law enforcement. Because in the past, especially since 2020, our young people, especially African American young men, it's important to know what to do, what not to do, and what your rights are when you are approached by law enforcement. And then who am I? Who am I is where it's our 8th week, which is the graduation ceremony, where each of the youth in our workshop will present. They'll do a presentation at their graduation, and then they'll explain to you who they are. Everyone at the graduation that's been a part of that workshop is invited. All of the sponsors that were a part of the workshop, from the Affinity Bank, Planned Parenthood, Police Department representatives, family members, and friends are there to see the youth in our program present who they are and what they've learned from the program and how that will assist them with moving forward. And who am I means, where am I going in life? This is my goal. This is the journey that I'm going on. This is the road that I've decided to take. And so we do that. If you want to slide down a little bit. Thank you. So this picture is from one of our first groups. When I got to Rochester, I worked at the Boys and Girls Club when it was Northwest, and I was the team director there. And so I implemented the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop here in Rochester for the first time as a team director at the Boys and Girls Club. And this was about 12 years ago. And so this group of youth that you see here, they started a rap group called BGC. It stood for Beats Going Crazy, where they promoted positive rap music because they felt that they lived in a world where music was very influential to young people, especially African American people, and they just were really passionate about making music that would help our community go in a different direction. And so I took them to North Coast Production Studio, where they recorded their first album, and we used the funds for that to help raise funds for our 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. And the next screen here, later on, they performed at the Pace Back to School rally. It was their first performance as BGC inside of the community here, where they had a great time. Their friends kind of cheered them on, encouraged them. They even had their own dancers and such, and it was a great thing. The girl with the glasses, that's Roslyn Moore. Just remember her, as you'll see her a little later. And then right here is them all grown up now. The 2 boys in the jerseys are brothers, and they just graduated from Florida State University, where they received a scholarship for college. The one here in the middle with the jersey, he's currently working as a hotel manager in Rochester. And Chappelle, she continued her desire to work in the career industry, and she's now doing music management and promotions for shows. So it stuck with her all these years. If you want to continue to go down. From alumni to employees, as you can see, the photos on the left are some of the young girls from our workshop. One of them is my oldest daughter, the one I had at 15, Ayana. And so, and the others are girls that were in our workshop as well, and they are still affiliated with our program. They are our employees. Every single person almost that's been with our that's a part of our employee list is alumni of our program. And then if you scroll down, the Journie dance team, that's where we have our own dance team where we go perform at different schools, rallies, football games. It keeps the young ladies engaged. And that's from where we volunteered for several years as an after-school program at John Adams Middle School. And then there we performed at University of Minnesota, Rochester. And in 2020, during the pandemic, our program was put on hold because of COVID. And so in light of George Floyd being murdered and Donald Trump running for president, we were all kind of stuck at home, and our country just had a lot going on. And I thought, what can I do to bring the community together? Because all of a sudden we were really divided because due to like racial divide, a lot of that was kind of going on. And so I said, what can I do to help alleviate some of that? And so Juneteenth is something that we celebrated in Chicago for many years. And being here in Rochester, I know that NAACP has done it for several years, and I just want to say thank them for their services. Myself, I had not seen a Juneteenth celebration, so we decided to put that together, and it was successful. In 2020, we had about 2,500 people come out that day. It was the first event once our community was released from quarantine, and it was a great event. And so we continued it in the year of 2021, where we later implemented the Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship Award. And there, that's Casper. He created the cha-cha slide. He came down and go back up a little bit. You're too far. Juneteenth 2021. Yeah, we're right there. Juneteenth 2021, Casper came down and he created the Rochester Cha-Cha Slide, and then we did the basketball tournament with the Rochester Police Department and other community members, community organizations that have basketball teams. If you go down a little bit here, Juneteenth 2022, we honor the Black men in the community that were making a huge difference. So we call that the Black Leadership Award, is what we implemented in 2022. And then we had celebrity guest performing artist Santa here for that as well. And the city of Rochester's DEI child, she signed that and acknowledged all those people. So we're very connected within the community, and we pride ourselves in collaboration and partnership. And then that's just, if you scroll down, Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2021, you can keep scrolling, and then that's Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2022, and this is Mr. and Miss Juneteenth 2023 that we just crowned here in the MLK Park. So we've been doing it now for 4 years, and we'd love if you guys could support. And as you go down here some more, what you might ask yourself, how do we raise funds for our organization? So if you go back up one where it's Halloween a little bit, yeah, right there. So our organization, we've received 2 grants in the past 10 years. And so what we do, we basically put on events for the young people to make sure they're enjoying themselves as well as being safe about it. So the Halloween bash, we throw a party or an event. We did a lot of that at the Boys and Girls Club before the Boys and Girls Club shut down, but that's where the young people were able to go and enjoy themselves via events that we would put on for them within the community that were age appropriate. And there were other fathers within the community that would act as security to come in and make sure that everybody was being safe. And so those are just some photos of some events that we've had. You can scroll down. And Downtown Day Chicago, we just attended that on July 8th, where we partnered with another organization in Chicago. Chicago is my hometown. My block, my hood, my city did a downtown day. It made the news. A lot of kids in Chicago had ransacked downtown. And so to make up for that, that organization did that and invited Journie to come and be a part of that, because a lot of the kids in our organization that we serve are from Chicago. So we took them to share in that experience. And here's just a few photos from some of our graduations that we've had in the past. And then social justice. Journie prides ourselves in also being an advocate for justice. You know, I myself consider myself a revolutionary. I am all about making sure that equality is at the forefront of everything that we're doing within our community. And we pride ourselves in holding people accountable for the things that they say that they're going to do and that they should be doing. So all of the youth and families within our program, we make sure that we support them and we advocate for them on their behalf. The Rochester Women's Magazine is a proud sponsor of our program. A lot of our notoriety and recognition came from their free advertising services for our program. So we always want to make sure we highlight and thank them for their service. Journie is currently a recipient of United Way's Youth Empowerment Grant. And so we're excited to have that grant opportunity where we will be able to have funding to provide services to youth this fall. Journie has also been a part of the Cradle to Career High School Graduation Network for the past 5 years, and we pride ourselves in being a part of that network. The Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship was created so that we can help increase the graduation numbers for African American youth in Rochester. The Mr. and Miss Juneteenth Scholarship was a way to encourage young people to finish and cross the finish line, and that stemmed from our involvement with the Cradle to Career High School Graduation Network and being able to see the data and information surrounding the educational piece with young people in Rochester Public Schools. Journie was previously fiscally sponsored by Diversity Council, and then suddenly we had to shut down for a period of time unexpectedly. But now we are proud to announce that we are fiscally sponsored by Propel for the next year as we are awaiting our 501c3 certification. In November of 2022, Journie received the National Jefferson Award in New York City with Multiplying Good as being one of the top 5 nonprofits in America. And so we are excited and grateful for that recognition from Multiplying Goods. Since then, I myself have become a QI, which stands for a Qualified Individual for the state of Minnesota. So I am trained and licensed to do needs assessments for the state of Minnesota for Department of Children and Family Services. I am also going through a training to be certified in alternatives to therapy through mental health through the Healing Forest Project as a nature and forest therapy guide. So Journie has and always been an alternative to therapy program, but now we're at the stage where we are becoming certified and licensed. And really quickly, I'll introduce my team. Tierney Parker she's the owner and operator of Mixie Madness. She just did a mural of the historical music building on South Broadway. She's our program coordinator. You'll see her this fall with myself in training in the schools, running the 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. Kylie Faye is the marketing coordinator. She also works for Planned Parenthood, and so she assists with a lot of our marketing material. Right now, she's on maternity leave, and we can't wait for her to get back. Douglas Porter. Doug has worked with a lot of our youth in the past on music stuff, and so he's planning to run a music program this winter with the youth in our program. So we're currently working on that. And when we have shows and events, Doug usually helps us with our lighting and entertainment setup. Amnia Boone, she's our membership coordinator. She makes sure that all of our youth in our program have all their paperwork complete, as well as our volunteers and sponsors. She makes sure that all of that is complete. She's the owner and operator of a women's boutique called Malika as well. And then Rosalind Moore, she is my executive assistant, and she is currently what she does a lot. She does a lot. She's an alumni of our program as well. She graduated from our first cohort in 2012. She recently graduated from University of Minnesota 2 years ago with her bachelor's degree and in sports med, and she's currently working as a community coordinator for Girl Scouts, and she works with us part-time. And then Levi, he's in charge of our IT stuff. And he also runs a business called Nerd Butler, and he does some work with Collider as well. And lastly, I'll just go over some of the needs for our program. we need more funding resources, transportation. We take you to doctor's appointments. We take them on field trips and things like that. And so usually I use my personal vehicle, which can be hard. We often don't have enough space. So we're in need of that. We're looking for permanent space because we used to be at the YMCA, but that's no longer available to us. So we use a lot of our funding and donations to rent out spaces throughout the community to hold our workshops and classes. Donations of hygiene products and bus passes to help the youth be able to get to their employments, their different job locations, and then hygiene products. Surprisingly, they all kind of lack that for some reason. And then gift cards, incentives is a huge way to keep them coming back to workshop. We are always in need of volunteers, especially when it comes to when we do different outings and trips and things like that. And we're always looking for mentors. Next slide. Our community support and collaboration. This is just a list of people, businesses and organizations that have played a major role in the success of our organization over the past 10 years. A few, just to name a few, the workforce development, United Way, Credit to Career, all these wonderful people. You might know a lot of them that's on the list. They've all played a really major role in making sure that we stay afloat here in Rochester over the past few years. And then if you go to the next slide, I'd love it if you guys would follow us on our social media platforms to stay in the know of what we have going on. We'd love to invite you to some of the events that we have. We've recently had a healing circle, a community conversation. Coming up, we have an event called Let's Talk About It that's being led by Tierney Parker downtown at the Art Head Emporium that focuses on biracial differences and stigmas, where she'll be raffling off some art pieces. And then here, this is our website, journeyproject.org, and you can visit us there to make a donation, become a mentor, request for partnership and collaboration, or either request a referral so that we can send you an application for a student or a youth to become a part of our program. We want to thank the City of Rochester for allowing us to serve here for the past 10 years. It has been wonderful. I think last but not least, it's really important that Olmsted County stick to its word when it says community collaboration and things like that, and not just saying like this is what we're going to do, but really sticking to it, because there's organizations here in Rochester that can really get the job done. And I want to say that the Journey program is really big on making sure that we provide you guys the services that you need. You need the community, you need the families, you need the youth, right? And so when we put the youth through our program, they go through our 8 Steps to Promotion workshop. We do the needs assessment for them and the family and find out which community resource do we need to send you in which direction. And so we make that choice. We partner with different community organizations, and we'd love to partner with Mayo Clinic or Olmsted County Social Services or Olmsted County Services as a whole. I sit on the African American Child Wellbeing Advisory Committee for the state of Minnesota, and so I'm very familiar with the councils and drawing up different documents for legislative review. And I just think that Rochester is doing a really good job at moving forward. I think that we just need to move forward and take 2 to 3 steps, because we're about 5 steps behind what we said we were going to do 5, maybe 10 years ago. So if anyone has questions, feel free to ask. And thank you so much for allowing me to be able to present here today.
Thank you, LaShawn. I'll give you a couple of minutes for questions. We're about 15 minutes to end. So George, you guys go ahead. George, you have a comment?
I was just leading the cheers. Anyway, very impressive. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Cap? Maybe I'll make one comment is Mark Thine and in your small business, your organization. Some of the mentoring, some of the financial thing, some of the training, perhaps you folks can also be part of that, at a certain time, I guess, right?
Sure. Yeah,
Yeah.
most certainly, Al. We're an organization that helps small businesses grow and start, and a lot of that is around financials and financing and market research and working with individuals one-on-one and putting on trainings. And so we're a resource in the community that I would hope we could continue to, or people on this call that could continue to use us. And Al, maybe at some point in time in the future, I could get on the agenda. We could get on the agenda, and
Sure.
then we talk in greater detail about our services too. So
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Somebody
Anybody
else
else?
had a question. Somebody else had a question. I think Catherine.
Catherine? Well, I think Catherine just applauded you, I think, all she
Okay.
did. Yeah. Okay. So thank you again, Lashana, for all the work you did. Okay, for the remaining, we've got about 15 more minutes, and then I'll just share a little bit. Okay, hopefully this works. Okay, can you see so far? Yeah, I'm gonna give you a little CMRC update so that so you get a feel for what some of the things we're working on and some of the relationship we have potentially with everybody here. Let me see. I can reset. Okay. Okay. So I want to share a little bit about some of the engagement opportunities that we're finding. We're looking at some of the grants, proposal, the request for grant proposal, and as well as some other opportunities. For example, I mentioned the fact that National Institute Challenge Grant. By the way, my slide deck will be on the website, and you'll have these quick links here to get to deeper understanding of these things. Okay, so if after this meeting, you can get to the CMRC Beam website, and if you like, you can drill down some more about these things. So I'm just going to be very quickly go through them. This National Institute Challenge Grant is about building trust, and it's about a study investigating how to involve a community to build trust. So to me, it seems like if we can corral or bring our community together, including what we just heard from the joint study folks, somehow we can come together to make a bigger collaboration to apply for this particular grant. In fact, this particular grant seems like methodology going forward is very similar to what we've done, our CMRC coalition has done with Project Healings and Compass. So we have a collaboration mentality with partnership out there. So it seems to me that if we wanted to engage further, we want to have the groundwork that we could go back and to really bring back the coalition to do the study for this. And I think Kathy is looking into some of the detail. And I don't know if you have any more to say, Kathy, about. I think we'll find out more about how much this grant would really worth. Kathy, you want to say a few words?
Yes, I was just going to remind everyone that we have looked at what's available, and it's extremely vague. And their target date for putting out something that's more specific is August 8th. And any kind of written application would be due in the month of November. So there would be time between we hope August 8th. Remember that NIH often misses these deadlines they set. But that's what they were suggesting. They'd have a lot more detail on August 8th. So I'll be watching for that. And because of the Compass application, that will actually get me emailed. So that helps once they have something. And I will definitely share that with everyone as soon as that additional information is available.
Thank you, Kathy. And in fact, this link here takes you to all the collaborators that supported us in the Compass grant application. Like about some 30 somewhat organizations within our community, including some of the few big names, the Mayo Clinic, University of Minnesota, and Hormel, and all that had contributed to our application. We passed the first round, but unfortunately, the second round we didn't make it through the second round. But I think we have the groundwork. We have certain foundation, I think, and if we can include some of the broader collaboration, I think we have a better chance this time to get this, get deeper into this grant, and it could be really big. Right? Okay, so that's this one, and then another one is the Mayo Clinic Innovation Grant. It's about social innovation grant. And we're finding out that you don't really have to be a 501c3 to apply. You actually could be a small business. And the whole idea is to put together a proposal to a new approach to address health equity. And is to build something sustainable and potentially scalable in their mind, scalable. So the successful proposals will impact mental health, substance use, and access to care. And it is part of the community health needs assessment effort that Olmsted County Public Health, Mayo Clinic, as well as the Olmsted Medical Group are together every 3 years. So they do a community health assessment, needs assessment. The one that they identify now is mental health, substance use, and access to care. So that we can put together some proposal to address these things, it could be something they're looking for. Now, the only unfortunate thing is the due date is July 31st, which is only a couple of weeks away. So, but what I've gotten requests from AJ, to say that we may want to bring the special CMRC meeting together to identify what are some of the ideas that people may have. Okay, so I would send out a doodle polling or something to get us together. Unfortunately, again, July 31st, there's not that much time left.
That's right.
Yeah, and but I have just one more thing before I let you talk some more, is that I myself have been drafting a notion based upon my own thought about building a portal that I've already kind of prototyped in my own way to really support the whole notion about collective impact. So that's, and I'm anybody wants to look at my proposal and contribute to it, I'm happy to bring more partnership together and maybe do some reviewing. And then when we do get together in this special meeting, we can also look at other ideas that people might have too, Okay.
Right.
So the portal idea is really about how to enable collaboration better. How do we, be more intentional the way we collaborate. Okay, any comment? Anybody?
Yeah. So Al, thank you so much. I really appreciate, this providing this information to us. And I would appreciate actually, as you said, if you lead to put together some kind of, proposal or something, that will really help, because we are all a team collaborating this, but we need a leader like you. Right. So one question was, when I clicked on the link, it went to the site, right? So if you're doing it together, do we then register as a combined partnership or individual entity? So you see what I'm saying? When you clicked on the link, it went to that site, right? So that we need to discuss also.
Yeah, we did discuss that. I think we could probably apply through maybe an entity, but it indicate what for the partners. Okay.
Right.
I believe that's the way we'll go about doing it. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So like even the one I'm drafting, is being applied through my own name, my open.
Yeah, your name.
But I could, I'm open to,
No. That
distribute to everybody. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking this more, Kathy, you're here, we had worked together on this, Project Healing, actually. Diversity Council led this and brought all the partners. I'm thinking from that perspective, this will work where we have all the, partnership together, and we'll have more strong, case that, we'll all building this toward, like, for example, mental health is a big issue. And I've already talked to a few people here in my team, and I've reached out to people here, like, for example, putting together an app where it could be used by the students or college, how they can have their mental, health improvement. I mean, these some of the brainstorming ideas. We can have a separate meeting, as you said. We need to have a separate meeting where everyone can bring the idea and then and the proposal what you are working towards. We can all look at it and come together. Looks like Kathy is trying to say something here.
Yeah.
Well,
Kathy,
yeah,
go
I
ahead.
wanted to put my hand up because I would use different words to describe what you just asked about. So the idea is you create your vision and your team, but you probably have one person who goes in there and initiates the application,
Yeah,
and then becomes the communicator.
that's right.
And you're absolutely right. One of the frustrating things with the way they have it set up is you really can't get any additional information to even know how challenging it will be to fill out the grant proposal
Right,
until somebody goes in there and says, hey, it's me, and this is, then you just
Yeah.
start filling it in, and then you can see the questions and such.
right.
Well, I think having a meeting would be key, and then maybe before the meeting, designating somebody to say they're going to go in there and say, I'm working on behalf of this coalition, because then you'll actually be able to see the questions and what they want from you.
Right,
Right.
right.
And then
It
you
will be
can
great to
see if
have a
you
Mayo
can do
person.
it by the 31st or not, because it may not require a lot. It may
Mhm.
just require your good idea
Ju-
Right.
versus endless
Just a quick
pages and
comment. I
paragraphs of stuff.
actually have gone in there. I've already
Okay,
kind of
Al,
have
what
an
do
do
you
idea.
see?
So it's quite elaborate. Okay, it's not
Uh-oh.
trivial,
Okay.
unfortunately.
Okay.
Okay.
So okay, now Charlotte,
And,
you have got your hand raised. Yeah.
and also the amount, I was not
Oh.
very clear. What is the grant amount? One was saying under 5,000, one is above 5,000. But above 5,000, how big? How much, we're talking, but I was not very clear.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
So
Somebody is
let's
trying
go.
to ask. Go ahead.
What I was gonna say, Al, was I thought that maybe you were gonna be in contact with someone over at Mayo, and I think can we just
We did.
get in
Yeah.
contact with that
Yeah,
person,
we
let
did.
them know that we want to apply as a group, as a unit,
Yeah.
and
We
see
already
if we
did.
can go from there.
We already did. They already responded. We already did. We have a Mayo contact. And in fact, Al, it would be great to have the Mayo contact in that call, in that meeting, when you're hosting, have them possibly join that as well, so that all the questions we can ask.
Is there next steps for us that we might need to do or submit
Well,
or go in there and do, Al?
That would Al
I
will be
think
leading a call.
it's just I think I'll get this meeting, maybe do a doodle poll, get everybody together. It's all the meeting would kick off. What I need to do. Okay, we need to have the meeting real quick.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
So
Stephanie is asking something. Looks like Stephanie.
yeah.
You have some question.
So I don't think we can go too deep here because
Yes,
there
we
are
don't have
various
time
ideas here.
Yeah.
And also Okay, so I
So
look at about
Al,
okay.
when do you think we could
Okay.
have a meeting? When do you think? Because we don't have much time, right? Sometime maybe early next week, like Monday or
Yeah.
something.
Could be I'll send out some test. Maybe
4:30 p.m.
It's gonna be gotta be early next week. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, later in the evening, 4:35 will work for me.
Okay.
Because I work on the daytime, right? So
Okay.
go ahead. Stephanie was trying to say something. Go ahead, Stephanie.
Hey, I just we're getting off this real quick, and I just wanted to and Al, I should have got you over this information for today's meeting. I just had kind of a brain fart, lack of better words. But there is also a grant that is going to be due the 28th of July. It's very specific. It's for descendants of slaves, for the betterment and enrichment of the Black community. And I don't know if everyone is aware aware of that, or if they, I mean, obviously it's very specific to the descendants of slaves, but that grant process, your applications have to be in by July the 28th. It could be for individuals, organizations, anything to help build generational wealth within the Black community. And the only requirement is that you are a descendant of Black descendant of slaves living in the U.S. In Minnesota, excuse me.
Are you talking
I
about
can
the
give
open
you
road? The open road?
Yeah,
Is it the
it's
open road?
Stephanie.
Yeah,
It's
and I
perfect.
can send you the
It's
link
actually
to
on my
that,
slide
Al.
deck here. Okay, I got it here too. Just to touch upon, yeah. There are these things
Okay.
here happening. Open road is that, right? And it's unfortunately, again, the deadline is very quick, right? July 28th, is it? Yeah, so, and these other ones too, these other ones are a little farther down the road. Olmsted County's got something that, they're coming down. So we got a little bit of time to look at these other things. And so that's, okay, so, yeah, okay. So I'll give you a little quick update of some of the other big ideas that we're kicking
Can
around,
I
which
ask
is
a question of Stephanie really quick?
Okay, go ahead. Yeah.
And it might be of interest to others. I had reached out to Rochester Area Foundation to see what kind of support there would be for people who might have trouble accessing a computer, because for open road, it has to be done on an online format. And, that can be hard to do on a phone. Rochester Area Foundation let me know that Pastor Andre was coordinating opportunities for people to have computer access and other kind of support for filling out the open road. And I looked at the barbershop website, but I didn't see anything there. So can you tell us how to find that information? I want to send it to a particular person, but it would be awesome to find other ways to get the word out for those kind of supports for someone who might have a hard time having Wi-Fi and computer access to fill out that open road application. And maybe you have some news on that, maybe you don't, Stephanie. So share if you can.
So yeah, so this came up really quick. It wasn't a lot of prep time even when we found out about it, which was just about a month ago. We've only had about 6 weeks. What I can tell you right now is if you have somebody, you can. I don't know if I'm not sure who asked the question, so I'm sorry, I'm driving. But if you have my email or Al's email, you send.
We lost her.
No, I bet she was going to say just send the person's contact information to her.
There's also people at the Rochester Public Library. The library has, the library has free computers.
So Pastor Andre wanted.
Oh, go ahead, Stephanie, and then you can finish. Oh, either one, finish, please.
Well, I just was saying that the library has.
So I was just saying that Pastor Andre was going to do an event to explain the grant, and we just haven't had the ability to set that up, in the short time frame. I don't know that he's abandoned the idea or not, but if anybody reaches out to the CERT organization or barbershop social services, sends a message, he will have spaces where people can come and get a little assistance for that.
Thank you.
So that
and I think that Shauna was sharing the idea of the public library too, because I know they have computers.
Yeah, the library has computers with built-in Wi-Fi, and it's open and available to anybody in the Olmsted County community in Rochester that does not have access to internet. So if it's a thing of just internet access, and they also deliver. So all that person needs to do is call the Rochester Public Library, say, you do have to have a certain income limit, like receive food support or, receive certain county services, but they do an assessment over the phone. And if they qualify, then the Rochester Public Library will have someone to deliver that laptop with the built-in Wi-Fi, and it's only for a 6-month time frame. And they do have resources of people that's helping assist with applying for the Open Road grant at the Rochester Public Library.
Thank you so much.
Okay. So this is about the Interculture Center, Rochester ICR. The space. So we have a meeting with DMC, DA Families of Rochester, MAA Families First, and Sherman Associates is a developer, and really the whole idea was for this notion about Rochester Intercultural Center, that which is really about a food-centric kind of business model, and programming and all that for cultural center. And then turns out the nonprofit people that also have a nonprofit share space idea. So we get together to see if we can combine the two ideas. What exactly is what the CMRC folks been talking about, and then what is the nonprofit people been talking about. So we at least got together and see if there is any can these two ideas could be merged together into one. So the questions about location, how committed people are, etc. So just want to share with you that there is conversation going on, and more need to be done. Okay, so that's about the ICR. And then let me see, what else do I have to say? Okay, so again, some of these other things I mentioned, and we also got a request from somebody to want to talk to us about future starts at home, some kind of initiative about doing kind of a home amendment, actually, to suggest some kind of amendment to Minnesota State in terms of getting some amendment to say that affordable housing is gonna be a priority. So there was a request for them to come present to us. Okay, and then as far as CMRC's planning is concerned, we've been getting together about, now that we're no longer under Diversity Council, where we're going to go back to the next step. So that there is a concept that the meetings now turns out to be more like converging this concept of being a hub, right? CMRC is a hub that have the members are BIPOC communities, nonprofits, and even businesses get together. And then so it can become a place where requests come in and we share it out. And then maybe grant opportunities or even business ideas, business opportunities that they can come to this hub, and we can share all this information. And then we're going to have our next meeting to talk more about what this picture really stands for, and some of the operational details. Okay, so that's it. That's it for today. Anybody else want to say something? Otherwise, we're running, in fact, 5-6 minutes over already. Any quick comment? If none, then we can wish everybody good evening, and thank you for the presentation. Okay, we'll be in touch. Okay, this recording will be online on the website. Okay, bye.
Al, do you think you can send me a link for the recording? Because a few people that couldn't make it today, they did ask for a recording. So if you can send that to me in my email. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Have a great rest of your evening, Al.
Okay, see you. Thanks.